Hi, my friends. Today I'm going to talk about my tips on how you can be a very successful thrifter. As you know, one of my pastimes and longtime loves has been thrifting. In fact, I guess I've been thrifting since before I was married, which was 61 years ago. And I have loved it and enjoyed it ever since. Now that not only includes thrifting, this includes swap meets, garage sales, large thrift stores, small ones, anywhere we've lived. New York, Kentucky, New Jersey, San Francisco, Scotland. We used to go down to Glasgow to what they call the Barrows and get some terrific finds. Everything from furniture to software to bedding to jewelry, hats, bags, you name it, you can find it. And it's not junk. These are wonderful things that you can wear, fill your home with, give as gifts to your children, your family, your friends. You'll love it. Okay. We're going to start off with number one. And I think I gave you a hint about number one. And it was never hesitate. I have lost so many things by thinking about it, and you don't want to do that. If you see something that you know fits the bill on something that you're really looking for, or something that you absolutely love, then you better get it right then and there. So that's the number one tip. Now, as you go into a thrift store, you usually will see a sign that will tell you, is it senior day? Now, Tuesday here in our area seems to be senior day. In Savers, you get 30% off on senior day on Tuesday. Now, that's not the same in Goodwill and some of the smaller ones. They usually have maybe 10% or 15%. But don't forget that. And sometimes I have seen something on Monday and decided to wait to Tuesday. Didn't work. It was always gone, especially in the larger thrift shops. So check out that sign. Is it senior day? The other thing in Savers, which is probably my favorite, they have a sign as you walk in the door that tells you what the 50% off section is that day. And it's either women's clothing or jeans or dishes or something. Shoes, bags. It will tell you what is the 50% tag of the day. And it's color coded. It'll be yellow or blue or green. So look for those items. Lots of times my favorite things don't always turn out to be the 50% off items, but a lot of times I've been lucky. So I do have my list here, so I don't want to forget anything. Okay, we talked about senior day, 50% off day, don't hesitate. Now, this is one of my rules, and this is the way I start. When I go in, I always get a cart. The little things on your arm, they just don't hack it. They're too small. So you get your cart, and I usually start on the left. Now, you know the way that you're told to shop in a food store or a supermarket, the healthy way. The produce is on the outside, the cheeses, the milks, the dairies, and as you go around, the breads and everything is on the perimeter of the store. Well, I find in a large thrift store, usually that's the same thing. I will start off, jewelry starts first, and paintings, by the way. They're usually on the walls and on the outside. Always check for good artwork, original artwork, or some prints that you really love. Some of the artwork that I've picked up has been exceptional. So I start with the jewelry counter. Now, usually you need someone to help you with jewelry. I always like to check out the rings, the necklaces, the bracelets. Love the jewelry, earrings. I almost get some little thing, and it's so reasonable. Savers, I think, has the best prices of all. Goodwill seems to have become quite expensive lately. So after you hit the jewelry and some of the paintings, you start down the outside aisles of housewares. In there you'll find the dishes and I've done a little run through the last time I was in. As we run through, I show you the perimeter of the particular one that I was in, which was Savers. And as you run through, you find pots and pans and collectibles and dishes and clocks and shelves of wonderful things. The books too. Moosey would love the books and usually does. He hasn't been in a thrift shop in a long time, but usually when we're in Europe, he does like to hunt down the books. So now we're in the furniture in the back. In the corner. I always check out the furniture for anything. Now, when I had big houses and we were raising our family, there was always something that I could fit somewhere. But in the cottage, furniture is now becoming a little difficult to fit in, unless I'm buying something for one of the children. Now, I did miss out on something the other day I mentioned that I was quite upset about. We have this new TV in the bedroom, but it sticks out like a sore thumb, and our other TV was in a really nice vintage cabinet. And I want to find some type of a surround to go around this. And I actually saw a hutch top. You know what the hutches look like. The top goes onto a chest on the bottom. In fact, I had several of them over the years, but they all went to the children. And I saw one that was the exact width, 42 inches wide, which was a little wider than I needed. Maybe not. And would you believe it was $14.98? I thought if I waited, what a mistake. Now, some of the mistakes I've made over the years are hard to forget. But what I was going to do is I was going to repaint it and paint it to match the beautiful hand-painted antique chest that the TV is now sitting on. And the TV would sit in front of it, the hutch would be behind it, and you still would see about 2.5 feet of shelves up on the top. I missed it, and I regret that because it's going to be very hard to find a cabinet for that TV, but I will keep looking. I've picked up tables and chairs and corner cabinets and wonderful things. Savers has the best prices for furniture too. Another good tip, find out the delivery days for certain items. Now, they do get things in every day, and talk to some of the people in the back. I like to kind of make pals with one or two of the people that I know in that particular store. Then you find out some of the inside information on what's coming in or what they have in the back. You might always check in the back to see if they have what you're looking for. However, the rule of thrifting is you won't always find what you're looking for, but you will see something that as you go through the store that you absolutely love and didn't know that you loved or wanted it. One of my little hints about myself, if I see something and I make a little noise like ooh or ooh, I know I love it. That just is one of my tics. I happen to make a little noise if I really like something. Moosey doesn't know that yet. Anyway, as you go around, so we're across the back. Now there are toys and things in the back too. Sometimes I'm looking for something, but usually I'll pass that. Then you're starting down the aisle on the other side, which will be handbags, wonderful handbags, brand names, or Coach, Gucci's, you name it, you'll find them for great prices. Sometimes they're marked. You might find a designer bag for just a few dollars. Someone might have missed the fact that the tag was on the inside and they didn't recognize the label. Hats, I've gotten a lot of my fedoras and my Panamas and winter wool gaucho hats. No sense paying full price for a lot of these things. So we've covered pretty much a lot of the big bargains. I've gotten some beautiful silverware. I have shown you also, besides this run through of the thrift shop, I've shown you some of the things in just my little cottage that I have picked up over the years. Now, a lot of this is 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. So don't be overwhelmed. I have been antiquing and thrifting for years and years. But I've shown you most of the wonderful things that I love in this cottage are from a thrift shop. First of all, see these two lamps? This was recent. This was about a month or two ago. We need light in here, nice soft lighting, and I'm starting to try and do that. So I'm showing you too in this video a lot of the things that I've picked up here and in Europe and various other things. Not everything, but a lot. Okay, we've talked about riding the perimeter. Okay, silverware, dinnerware, jewelry, hats, bags. Now clothing, look for the labels. I've found many Pendleton plaid shirts, wool Pendleton plaid shirts for Moosey. I've found jeans jackets for the kids. And brand name, beautiful. I always bought a lot of blazers, the tweeds and the houndstooth checks when they were in. Kimonos, that's something right now that we're all interested in. They have beautiful kimonos and shirts, but that's all in the center clothing. So if you're interested in that and you still have time left after doing the perimeter, head to the inner aisles. Okay, brand names, bedding, beautiful bedding. I have found a lot of antique quilts in thrift stores also. Crate and Barrel has some wonderful stuff in there. Check your labels as you look at things. Something that I bought and loved when we were first married was the milk glass, and I loved it. Now, as time went on and as we moved several times, I did give a lot of that to, I think Margie might have a lot of our wedding milk glass. But just recently I picked up a couple of pieces because I like it again and wanted to have a couple of pieces around. I had a piano that was my mother's when I was a little girl. I took my lessons on a baby grand. I forget what they called it, a mini baby grand. And that, of course, wouldn't fit here, but I did miss, at the time, my piano playing. And I picked up a spinet, one of the smaller types, and you'll see a picture of it in the cottage. Picked up one of those at a thrift shop, shortly after we moved in here, and it fits nicely. One of my grandkids said it looks like a gift shop in here, but that's okay. It's filled with stuff I love. And Moosey loves it too. Right, Moose?
Right.
As we're leaving, fill your cart up with these things that you love. If you see something but you're not sure of it, put it in your cart, because if you don't get it, someone else will pick it up right behind you. And then before you leave, according to your budget, what you want to spend that day and what you really love, because there's always another day and new stuff comes in every day, purge. Pick out your favorite things and then go. Now, I have to tell you a funny story. One time in a thrift store, I saw a suitcase and I looked at it and it looked like a vintage Gucci suitcase. When I examined it further, it was. And I thought to myself, okay, when I leave, I'm going to pick that up. Well, sure as you know, these things happen, Murphy's Law. When I went back to get it, I couldn't find it. I was a wreck. And all of a sudden, I spotted a woman with this suitcase in her bag. It wasn't a large, it was a mid-sized suitcase, but it was an authentic vintage Gucci. And do you know what I did? I stalked that woman around that store, because lots of times people put things back as you purge. You decide, oh, maybe I don't want this, or maybe it's too expensive, I don't want to pay for it. And I followed her around and around. I don't think she knew it. I was very discreet. But you know what? She bought it. So that's something else, another something that I lost. All right, that's a few hints for now. Maybe some more will come in the next videos as we go along, but those are the main things. Oh, one last thing. There are ways to offend people, dealers, by saying, this thing has dirt all over it, or this item is broken, so what will you take for it? A couple bucks? Right off the bat, you are upsetting that person, and they wouldn't sell you that item if it meant their life was at stake. So when you make an offer on something, now in large thrift shops, there's no bargaining. In smaller ones, yes. And the way you would approach them would say, I absolutely love this item. Would you possibly take less? What is your best price for this? So be courteous, and don't offend people by running something down just to get a cheaper price, because it won't happen. You will always put in an offer on something in an antique store. If I see a piece of furniture or something, I will put in an offer as to what I want to pay, and they will call the person whose stall that is, and find out if they'll accept that. Usually they'll come back with another offer. I do that on eBay too, when it says make offer. So always go a little bit lower than, and be prepared to come up a little bit. But don't always think that in the swap meets and antique malls and smaller thrift shops that you have to pay full price. And I think I've shown you within the last several videos a lot of things that have turned out to be very serviceable. Like those tiered silver pieces that I keep my makeup and my bracelets and jewelry in. It saves space when, for instance, in this small cottage, I need space, but I have stuff that I still need and love. So I've gotten some of those. Jewelry hangs on unusual things. Remember that you don't always have to use an item for what it's intended to be. Be creative and see something and say, oh, I do need that for storage for my makeup. Doesn't matter if it's a beautiful glass bowl that's meant to be in the kitchen. Use it in your bedroom and put your jewelry in it. Now, as you will see, I am so excited. You saw those molds, those copper molds in the last video. I did run through quickly and show you some. I absolutely made a tomato aspic mold this morning, and I've just unmolded it, and it is gorgeous. Moosey and I are gonna have it for supper. I found a recipe. I told you that these aspics that people used to make are definitely nostalgic. People don't do them anymore because a lot of them, quite frankly, were just not so tasty. My mother used to make them all the time, and I'll bet all your moms made these molds too. The plain Jello ones with the fruit were good, but the ones where they got involved with the aspics. Now, the aspic is meant to be a savory one, and the history behind aspics goes back to the 13th century, when people used the hoofs and the bones of animals to boil in water and get the juices, which would gel. As you know, when you cook a turkey or a chicken and the next day you go to take it out, it's got all that jelly underneath. Well, you needed that to make these molds. Of course, they didn't have gelatin, Knox gelatin, back in those days. But in 1875, a man by the name of Peter Cooper invented Jello. And since then, we've been able to buy these little envelopes of unflavored gelatin to use in the molds. And this particular recipe was a favorite of my mother. She used to make it many times for her Merry 12 bridge clubs, and she loved to host the ladies. In fact, I found a recipe. I have many of her recipes in her recipe boxes. And I found the 50th anniversary of her Merry 12 Bridge Club that they started in 1926. And my mother had the luncheon in 1976. And in her recipe box, she had all the things she served that day. And someday, this one's getting too long, but someday I will read to you some of these recipes, but always an aspic or a mold of some kind. And I remember gagging on some of these, the ones especially that were green and had pimento and various things in them. The one that I just made that I can't wait to eat, Moosey and I are very excited, I made with shrimp and crab meat and pico de gallo. It tastes like a Bloody Mary. It's a tomato aspic, tastes like a gazpacho soup. So I've put all that on. The recipe's going to be on. I've also modeled the Tommy Hilfiger pants, the white cargo or yoga pants. Remember these? This one is just a fruit mold of things. Going to a party, making these molds, kind of a crab. Here's a fish. Love this my mother. You see this one a lot. Mom would be proud. Back up the mold worked. Absolutely fun. Make it, ladies. It was fun. I suppose the clear jello would be for the fruit, but this one looks good. And although I might have hated it as a youngster, I am gonna love this with the shrimp and crab meat and pico de gallo and onions. It's just like gazpacho. That's all that's left of our fishy. I don't know what I'm doing out here today. It's probably 103 or 4. But it's about 1:30 and I've finished making my tomato aspic. So I guess that's it for the day. I want to thank you all so much for coming and being part of our journey on successful aging. We're having a lot of fun, especially now that we're starting to get out. We're fully vaccinated and being out carefully. I still will wear my mask and I still use my disinfectant, and life is fun. Moosey is doing well. Hopefully we're going to see the doctor this week, and hopefully he'll tell him he can put some weight on his foot and we can start getting him back to where he was. So I think that's it for the day. Please keep giving us those thumbs up. They're so much fun and we love them. I appreciate all your comments, and you new people, come on, join the family. We're having some fun. Bye for now. God bless us all. Bye.